I'm Danny, that witch next door, and you're listening to That Witch Podcast. Well, hello, neighbor. Welcome to the first episode of Season 3 of That Witch Podcast. I'm Danny. I'm that witch next door. I'm going to be your host, your guide, your mentor, and instructor in all things magic, witchcraft, astrology, and witchy business. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is a really fun place to be. We are so glad to have you. If this is not your first time in the neighborhood, I am so happy to see you again, and I am so excited to have you here. So, if you're not very new around here, then you already know that every sun season, I like to do a strengths-rooted pep talk for the zodiac sign that the sun is currently in. So right now, we are in the thick of Leo season, which means it is time for the Leo season pep talk. Now, Leo is a heart-centered, heart-based energy. And part of the reason I was really excited to do kind of our first official episode of Season 3, not counting yesterday's Moon Day episode. Moon Day is kind of its own separate, beautiful entity. But part of the reason I was really excited about doing the Leo season pep talk today is because we have the full moon in Aquarius this week. And a full moon takes place when the sun and the moon, from an earth-centered point of view, from where we are on Earth, are in opposite areas of the sky. They're 180 degrees apart on the astrological chart. And this is why the sun fully illuminates the moon and why we get to see and experience that big, beautiful full moon. And even though it's obviously when we're doing full moon magic, we are putting a big, big focus on the moon and the sign that the moon is in, I always want you to remember that that illumination is coming from the sun. And so it's really, really important to take into consideration where that illumination and truth is coming from and where it's rooted in. And for this upcoming full moon this week, I want you to root into your heart's center. Now, maybe before you even do this, ask yourself, when was the last time you really did that? When was the last time you really intentionally, really purposefully set some time aside and really, really checked in with your heart's center, your heart's fire? This is where we will find some of the most beautiful, pure form and understanding of Leo energy on a very general basis. So because Leo is ruled by the sun, which means that right now during Leo season, the sun is considered to be in its home sign, we should find it a little bit easier to access that part of ourselves, even if it's been a long time, even if it's been a practice that we haven't exercised in a really, really long time. It should feel a little bit easier to access. And I would actually go so far as to say, you may even be feeling called very, very strongly, very pulled by your heart lately. There is every answer that we could ever need or be seeking, every truth that we could ever need or be seeking within our heart's fire, within our heart center. And sun energy and Leo energy really show this to us. This is why in Leo we get traits and qualities like leadership and love, creativity, confidence. because really evolved, thriving, nurtured Leo energy knows that its heart's path is the most divine and sacred way. It knows that even if you don't always know on paper, or even in your mind, every single detail of every single next step in front of you, you still trust every single step, even when some of them feel like they're kind of shrouded in some darkness, even when some of them are shrouded in some unknown. Because our heart's fire, our heart's path is guided by our intuition and therefore our higher self. And so there is this immense amount of trust, truly self-trust, to be tapped into during Leo season for all of us. Don't you dare come at me and say, I don't have any Leo in my chart. Hopefully, if this is not your first time around here, you know what I'm about to say. But if it's not your first time, that's okay. We all look at our charts and see these empty areas or areas where we don't have any placements. But let me remind you, and I will very happily be reminding us this on every single pep talk episode, like I always do. You look in your chart and you want to look at the big circle chart, okay? Don't look at a table where this is like, your sun is in this. You need to look at the whole circle chart. You need to look at what the symbol for Leo is. It kind of looks like a little lion's tail, actually. That's what that little symbol is supposed to be. So you can really easily Google the symbol for Leo. It's also on my free astrological reference chart on my website, thatwitchnextdoor.com/resources. You can go get that right now. And it'll show you the symbol for Leo so that you can look at your circle chart and look where Leo is for you. What house does it rule, or what house does it reside in? Do you have any placements there? Whether you do or not, I want you to remember that that whole circle that you're looking at and all that, what looks like that beautiful mess within it, I want you to remember that that's all of you. That's all of your beautiful, multi-dimensional, multifaceted self, okay? That's all of your wonderful traits and thoughts and experiences and decisions and mistakes and failures and your growth and all of it. It's everything, which means even if you don't have placements in Leo, you have a Leo journey. We all have all 12 zodiac signs in our chart. It rules or resides in at least one house or one area of life for each of us. Okay, so you do have Leo somewhere. And even if there are no placements there, guess what, my friend? During Leo season, and when other planets are in Leo, like right now the sun is there, I believe, wow, I should have looked at the chart. I'm pretty sure Mercury will either be at the tail end. Mercury will either be at the tail end of Leo when you guys hear this, or it'll have just moved on into Virgo. So sorry about that. But you want to take a look at what planets are in, and this could be for Leo. It could be for any house where you don't have any placements there. If there's a planet or a placement currently transiting in that sign, guess what? It's in that empty house for you. It's activating that area of life for you. So even if you don't have any Leo placements right now, because the sun is in Leo, your Leo journey is currently activated. And guess what? That means it's a lot easier to access that energy for you. This is why, even though we're all our own unique individuals, right, with our own unique kind of character mapping, that is the astrological chart, this is why we all have a lot of commonalities, common interests, common traits, common preferences during the different solar seasons. And especially when we have more than one planet currently transiting in a sign, you're going to notice all of us even more kind of align on little things here and there. If you're paying attention to those nuances, you'll really, really notice it. And so Leo energy is a time to more easily access your heart's truth. So if you are somebody that's been really seeking direction, if you've been really seeking clarity, if you have felt confused, if you've been feeling lost, if you've been feeling torn, that is a big one. If you've been feeling torn, I find Leo's energy to be a wonderful decision maker. Really evolved and nurtured Leo energy can be a seriously effective decision maker. So if you are somebody that struggles with dualities and polarities and you're feeling torn between a couple of concepts or more than one concept or a couple of people or a couple of ideas, whatever that is, if you're feeling torn between one or more things, now is a much easier time to access your heart's truth. Because I guarantee you, the answer has been there, burning in your heart's flame all along. And when it's revealed to you, very likely you'll go, I know. I knew that's what it was. I don't know how I knew, but deep down, yeah, I know. That's the feeling that happens when we get in touch with our heart center. And that is the process of this beautiful, sacred building of self-trust. This Leo season, I want you to trust yourself. On the Shadow Chats episode I did with Ashley at the very end of last season, which, by the way, even though it was for the Leo new moon and we just passed the Leo new moon on the 28th of July, it's still a wonderful, wonderful episode to listen to if you haven't already, especially in conjunction with this one, because Ashley and I went over a lot of really beautiful Leo strengths and Leo power. But kind of like we were talking about, I think that Leo is easily marked as this confident leader. But what we don't really go past the surface very often and talk about this actual process, and what it is the building of self-trust. So just like Ashley and I talked about, I want you to spend some time naming some accomplishments and naming some things that you're proud of yourself for. But then I want you to take it a step further. And I want you to say, potentially out loud, bonus points if you do it in a sacred mirror, which, by the way, it's sacred just as long as you cleanse it and you deem it sacred. It could be any mirror. But bonus points if you do this out loud and you do this in the mirrors, it'll just feel really, really good. I want you to, after naming all these things you're proud of, I want you to say, and this is why I trust myself. And that's why I trust myself. And then maybe even tack on something like, I am so grateful I can trust myself. I'm so grateful for all of the experiences that I had to get to today to build this trust with myself. When we look at other relationships, I want you to, if you're able to think of even just one relationship in your life that means so much to you, and you really do truly wholeheartedly trust that person, and I want you to think about how that feels, how comforting it is, how big of a relief that is. It's actually something we take for granted a lot, because as humans, we naturally focus on who has abandoned our trust or who has damaged it, right? Who has caused harm to our trust and trustworthiness. So it's easy to harp on that and stay really focused on that. I want you to shift your perspective and think about the opposite and how it feels to actually truly believe in someone and trust them wholeheartedly. And I want you to ask yourself how you can cultivate more of that feeling and trust within yourself. And guess what, baby? It starts by saying things like, I love that I can trust myself. I love being guided by my heart. I am so grateful that even when I feel confused, even when I feel distracted by other people, even when other people are, instigating some thoughts of self-doubt, I'm so grateful that I still trust myself at the end of the day. That's how we build this really strong and beautiful connection and relationship to our heart's path and our heart center, okay? So yes, this Leo season, of course, I want you to do all the glamour magic. I want you to light yourself up, right? With that beautiful light of the sun. in whatever way is truly authentic and aligned for you. But I want you to take all of that a step further and work it into some kind of intention or appreciation for yourself of trust. Because I firmly believe that's where you build confidence. That's where we are bold and creative. That's where we have the bravery and courage to be the leader that Leo is. Can you tell I'm a Leo rising? I get a little passionate about some of this. And that, honestly, if Leo stands for anything, my loves, it is fucking passion. What are your non-negotiables? When you tap into your heart, what are your heart's values and non-negotiables? And I want you to unapologetically hold on to those and protect them as much as you do your loved ones around you. That's how much it deserves that love and protection from you, okay? I really, really hope that this episode brings you some inspiration and lights that beautiful Leo fire a little bit for you and gets you to tell yourself some thanks, but even deeper than that, some appreciation for how really amazing it is that we've come so far in our self-growth journeys, each of us. How nice it feels to be able to trust ourselves now, because that is a beautiful fucking reward that we get to reap. Thank you all so much for your time today and every day. I am so excited to be back on the mic, back in your speaker, talking and chatting with all of you. I cannot wait to see you all next week for our next episode. Take care. Don't forget to stay safe. Have a fun week. Live it up for this full moon. Tap into your heart. So that's what illuminates all of your beautiful moon manifestations in Aquarius, okay? And stay magical out there. Hi, neighbor. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of That Witch Podcast. If you want to support the show and get your hands on some really magical goodies, make sure you check out some of the awesome companies that I'm an affiliate for in the show notes below. You can also leave a 5-star rating and review on iTunes as well as Spotify now. And really the best way to support That Witch Podcast is just by sharing the show online, like your social media platforms, or telling a friend that you think would enjoy it. If you're looking for more magical content like bonus episodes, classes I teach, and support in your witchcraft, make sure you come check us out in That Witch School, my magical monthly membership with a very welcoming private online community. And don't forget to subscribe to my email list for weekly astro forecasts, journal prompts, and more, and stay up to date with all of the happenings here in the neighborhood.